Hi everybody, this is Crystal. So today I'm going to show you how to make this shawlette here. Now a shawlette is just like a mini version of a shawl that you can kind of wear like a cowl or something like that. But by all means, you can make this keep repeating. It's only a 2 repeat. It's very easy as long as you know how to do front post double crochet and back post double crochet. You could keep repeating the repeat rows and make it a very, very big shawl, and it would be gorgeous. But this is what it looks like. I'll go ahead and take my brooch up. I got this brooch at Walmart in case anybody wants to know. In the button aisle. Okay. Take a look at it here. So it's basically ribbing, as you can see. The yarn is gorgeous. And it does have spaces between the ribbing to make it a little bit lighter weight. So it would make a nice spring shawl or a shawlette, however you want to use it, or a cowl. Now I think the cool thing about this is when you do the ribbing, I consider this the front side of the work, but I think the cool thing about this when you do the ribbing, if you like the look of it on the back side, it looks pretty cool too. I think I use this stitch right here, the reverse side, sometimes when I design. So but this isn't my preferred side, but of course you could do it wear it however you want. It's yours. So I'm going to give you the length of mine. Now remember, mine is shawlette size. It's not full size shawl, but it measures from one corner to the next approximately 40 inches, and then from top to point is about 18, well, about 20 inches. So it is a little bit longer across the top than it is this way. It's not like perfect formed triangle. Some triangle shawls, you know, are perfectly formed. This one has a little bit more of a longer top and a little bit shorter of a drop, but it's still beautiful. Let me straighten it out and I'll give you a look at what it looks like up close here. You can kind of see how it looks like it's a little longer on top. Well, to my eyes it does. I guess it could be me seeing things, but I think it's a little made to be a little longer across the top and just a little bit shorter bottom. But all right, enough of that. Let's get to it. Okay, for this project I am using a Red Heart Unforgettable. It is a medium weight number 4 100% acrylic yarn. Now you do not have to use this yarn, and you do not even have to use this size. You could use a 1 weight, a 2 weight, a 3 weight, a 4 weight, a 5 weight. You just continue repeating the rows until you get your shawl or shawlette as big as you want it to be. You know, if you use a smaller yarn, it's going to take more, you know, more yarn and more rows, but you can really just make it to your desired length. So any size of yarn will work. But if you want to follow along with me, I use a medium weight number 4, and the color of Red Heart Unforgettable, the color I have is called Petunia. Now I went through about 2.5 skeins of yarn. I'm going to say you're going to need, to make it my size, let's say about 450 yards would be my guess, give or take a little bit. And then I'm going to be using a size J, which is a 6mm crochet hook. Okay, so like I said, it's relatively easy as long as you can do post stitches. So we're going to start off with a slip knot on our hook, as always. And now we're going to work a chain of 3. And now we're going to slip stitch into that first chain to form a ring. Just like that. And now we're going to do a chain 1. Now that chain 1 does not count as a stitch. Okay? So now we're going to be working through the center of the ring. And we want to work 3 double crochets through the center of the ring. So you go ahead and yarn over and go into the ring, draw up a loop, and then go ahead and work your double crochet as normal. And you want to do that 3 times. So there's 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to make the point of the shawl. We're going to chain 2. That's the point. Now we're going to go back into the center of the ring again, and we're going to work 3 more double crochets. There we go. And then you can pull your tail, and that'll usually close up that center circle a little bit more. So that's row 1, and you should have 6 stitches there, and you'll have that chain 2 space, which will be the point of our shawl. Now row 2, we are going to chain 1 and turn our work. Now we always start every single row from here on out. We always start it the same way. We chain 1, turn, and we put 3 double crochets into the very first stitch. 3 double crochets. So there's 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to put 1 double crochet and into the next 2 stitches. And now we're going to be at our chain 2 space. And we always do the same thing at our chain 2 space no matter what row you're on. The chain 2 space, or the point of the shawl, always gets 2 double crochets through that chain space. So there's 1 and 2, and then you chain 2 and you put 2 more double crochets. So that's always the same. It never changes. There we go. Now we want to do on this side what we did over here. So we're going to go ahead and put 1 double crochet in the next 2 stitches. And then the last stitch here is always the same now. No matter what row you're on, it's always the same. 3 double crochets into the very last stitch. There's 1, 2, and 3. And that will end row 2. And you should have a total of 14 stitches now. Now we're going to start the repeat rows. Rows 3 and 4 are the repeat rows. So we're going to go ahead and start off by chaining 1, row 3, and turning our work. Always start 3 double crochets into the very first stitch. No matter what row you're on, 3 doubles. So there's 1, 2, and 3. Now we are going to chain 1, skip 1, and we're going to put a front post double crochet around the next stitch. So I chained 1, I'm going to skip 1, and then I'm going to yarn over, I'm skipping this one, go around the post of the next from the front and do a front post double crochet. Just like that. And that's what we're going to repeat until we get to our chain 2 space. We are going to chain 1, skip 1, and front post double around the next. That. Chain 1, skip 1, and front post double around the next, which is actually the last one before you get to your chain 2 space. Just like that. And now we're going to work directly into the chain 2 space, and we're going to work 2 double crochets, just regular doubles, chain 2, and 2 more double crochets into all into that chain space, the point of the shawl. Just like that. So again, we need to make this side match this side. So we ended in a front post double crochet over here, so we need to start with one over here. So we're going to go ahead and front post double crochet around the first stitch, and then we chain one, skip one, and front post double crochet around the next. And we're going to do this until we get up to our last stitch. Chain one, skip one, front post double crochet around the next, chain one, and I have one to skip, and I have the last stitch here. I got 2 stitches left there. See that? Here's my front post double. I chained one, I have 2 stitches left. I skipped that one, and the last one, we always do the same thing. 3 regular double crochets into the last stitch. Just like that, and that'll end row 3. Now for row 3, if you count every double crochet, every front post double crochet, and every chain 1 space, don't count the chain 2 space, so every single stitch and every chain 1 space, you'll have a total of 22 stitches. So it's 8 more than what we had on the previous row. Remember, you're counting the chain 1 spaces also, not the chain 2 space. This is the chain 1 spaces. So last row we have 14, now we have 22. So we're going to start row 4, which is the second repeat row. We're going to chain 1 and turn our work. Again, we're going to start off with 3 doubles into that very first stitch. And this is pretty much the same thing, except for we're going to be working in back post double crochets. So I started with my 3 doubles there into my first stitch. Now I'm going to chain 1, I'm going to skip 1, and I'm going to back post double crochet around the next. Like that. Chain 1, skip 1, so you're skipping the chain space, and we are back post double crocheting around the next double crochet. Chain 1, skip the space, back post double around the next. We're going to do this until we get to our point of our shawl. Chain 1, skip the space, back post double around the next. Chain 1, skip 1, and back post double around the next, which is actually the last stitch before the chain 2 space. It will always be that. There we go. And now we're going to work into the point, the chain 2 space, the same as we always have. We're going to work 2 double crochets, chain of 2, and 2 more double crochets. So we need to make this side match this side. So we ended in a back post here, so back post double. So we're going to start with the back post double around the first stitch here. And then we're just going to repeat what we did on the other side. We're going to chain 1, skip 1, double, or back post double into the next. Chain 1, skip 1, which is the chain space, and back post double into the next. Chain 1, skip the chain space, back post double into the next. And we do this until we get to the end. Chain 1, skip the chain space, back post double into the next, which is it's the 3rd stitch of this group of 3 up here. Chain 1, you got 2 stitches left, skip 1, and 3 regular double crochet into the top. and then that will end row 4. And now if you count every stitch and in every chain 1 space, not the chain 2 space, just like we did before, you'll have a total of 30. You're always going to have 8 more than you did the previous row, counting the chain 1 spaces, counting all the stitches. Only thing you don't count is the chain 2 space. So now it's kind of a repeat of rows 3 and 4. It's pretty easy. So we're going to, row 5, we're just going to chain 1 and turn, and we're going to repeat pretty similar what we did to row 3. 3 doubles into the very first stitch, just like always. Chain 1, skip 1, and now this is our front post double crochet. So front post double crochet into the next stitch, chain 1, skip 1. So essentially we're just skipping the chain spaces and we are keeping our post stitches lined up. So we will front post around the next stitch, chain 1, skip the chain space, front post around the next, chain 1, skip the chain space, front post around the next, chain 1, skip the chain space, front post around the next. We do this until we get to our chain 2 space. It's always, you're always front post or back post, whatever row you're on, the last one is always going to be worked. So I just back post or front post double crochet into that last stitch before the chain 2 space, and then I'll work my 2 doubles, chain 2, and 2 more doubles. And then I'm going to repeat what I just did on this side over here. Now you just kind of want to keep repeating those rows, keeping your post stitches lined up. That's all you're really doing. One row is back post and the other row is front posts, and you just keep repeating that until you get your shawl or your shawlette as big as you want it to be. This is what the back looks like. Back looks pretty cool too, but I prefer the front. Now I went ahead and done a total of 32 rows. You can do, like I said, more if you want to make a big shawl. I think that would be very pretty. I do want to point out though, as you're working, if you notice your work flipping as you're working, that's normal. Whenever you turn and do the next row, it'll flip back down. That's just kind of what happens when you do post stitches. One row will flip, and then when you do the opposite row, it'll flip back up, right? But that's it. I hope you enjoyed my tutorial. Remember, you keep going as long as you like it. You know what? If you guys don't follow me on Facebook or Instagram, I'm going to put a link to that stuff below. Because if you make this a full-blown shawl, I'd really like to see it. I think it'd be gorgeous. Or if you make it a shawlette, I want to see what it looks like, what yours looks like, what yarn you chose, and what color you used. Show me a picture on Instagram. Show me a picture on my Facebook page, because I really like to see it. Like I said, links to that below in the description box. Also, if you look over on the right hand side of the screen, I'm going to put a playlist of every single crochet tutorial that I have. I have hundreds of crochet tutorials. If you don't know, you can go ahead and check out that playlist there. There's something for everybody. Also over there on the left, I'm going to put a link to my other channel, to Family Vlog. If you like that kind of stuff, you can come check out what we do at my house, gardening and cooking and whatnot. But If not, check out all them tutorials. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you haven't for more tutorials and yarn talk. And until next time, have a good day, everybody. Bye-bye.